Film Festival.
Thank you.
It's such a pleasure having you here.
Thank you.
Wonderful film we watched was you were part of Hero.
Yes.
Yes, and I enjoyed it extremely, as many people have.
Thank you so much.
Would you like to state your name and tell us more about your experience on working on Hero?
So my name is Jeffrey Benson, and I was the supporting role named Max. Basically, I had cancer, and I played the role with my character set named Frank, and basically we had a great time bonding.
And I am Z. Joseph Geis. I'm executive producer on The Boy Hero. And yeah, it's great working with this guy. Didn't have to tell him much. He was a natural.
And so this is something that you've worked on for a little while, or?
What do you want to?
Yeah, actually, today, a year ago, was the first day of production.
Amazing.
We actually started filming a year ago today.
Wow, so it's a celebration.
It is a celebration.
Well, here we are.
Yeah, and it was 4 shooting days.
What a great celebration to win for such a wonderful film.
Right.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, of course.
We'll see you again.
Okay,
All right.
cheers. Thank you so
Bye.
much. Take care.
I'm here for the Toronto Open World Film Festival, and I have recently won Best Supporting Actor, and my film is The Boy Hero. Basically about me and this older gentleman who basically filmed it in somewhere outside of Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania in the States, and basically, so it's basically about how the older generation and the younger generation can come together to do something like that sickness. That was my 3rd film at the time.
How old are you?
I am 11 years old.
Are you in Toronto just for the festival?
Yes, I am in Toronto just for the festival. I live in the States. I am very excited to be here. I've never been to Canada, let alone Toronto, and so I'm really excited to be here. Everybody here has been so nice so far.
Thank you so much. We're so
Yeah,
excited
of
to have you.
course. Thank you.
My name is Z. Joseph Geis, and I'm here representing The Boy Hero, which I'm the executive producer of. It's a film about this 9-year-old boy and an 80-year-old man, and they're both going through chemotherapy. And they sort of befriend each other over an art project, and it sort of helps them through sort of the tough things that they're having to deal with the chemotherapy. Red Flag Pictures is based in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, in the States. I got involved with them because I was an actor on one of their previous projects. I'm based in New York City. Yeah, Kyle Thompson, the director, got the idea for The Boy Hero through a Humans of New York Instagram post. It was a story about a mom, a single mom, that was dealing with a child with cancer. And he saw that post and it just moved him so much that he was like, there's a story here that I want to tell and people need to know about. The struggle of a single mother, going through something like that. There's been cancer in my family, and I know it's something that many people have dealt with. So, yeah, absolutely. Jeffrey is phenomenal. I think he's 10 now, but he's going on like 65. He's a little adult. We didn't have to do much with him at all. You tell him just like you give him a word or two, and then he was actually helping Frank, Mike Callahan, the gentleman that played the elderly man. He was like keeping him in line a lot. I mean, Jeffrey, we didn't have to do much with him at all. We're just thrilled to be here. Thank you so much, Toronto Open World Film Festival. It's my first time in Toronto. I've been here like a day, and I'm in love. I love it.
So, it's the Open World Festival, and we are in our 5th year. So, it is a role filled with ups and downs, but we have an amazing team, and that's what it is. The Open World Film Festival, it's really about opening the world to Toronto. So what we do is we showcase film from all over the world, and we always make sure that we have special presentation from filmmakers here in Toronto. So we connect the world to the new filmmakers here in Toronto. So it's a competition. So people submit their film in different categories. We showcase the winners, but we also make sure that we have a special presentation, local support from filmmakers here in Toronto. And that's what I wanted. It's like, and it's very glamorous, as you can tell. Create new connection. I really love when people, after the festival, become friends with all the filmmakers all over the world. And it's always been my expectation since the first year. It's really about opening Toronto to the world, to new filmmakers, because I know there's a lot of other film festival does it. But my take on it is I want it to be very glamorous, like a little tip, but where anybody has a chance. Like any new filmmakers, we are showcasing a film today from a new filmmaker from Ryerson. We are showcasing films with veteran filmmakers. I don't mind what kind of level of experience the filmmakers has. All we need is it's a film with the quality, the sound, the acting, where everything comes together. So that's my expectation. This year it's really to create more connection and goes to the 6 years and 7 years and 10 years and the biggest change, it's really about, first of all, the first year was only 1 day. Now it's 4 days. The first year we had few filmmakers coming from other parts of the world. Now we have way more filmmakers coming because for sure, as we grow, people know more about us. You know, it's always hard to start something, but now we are growing and people know more about us. And the other change is the first year I didn't do local support, but the first year I realized that there were a lot of films from all over the world, but maybe not enough from Toronto or new filmmakers here. So I decided to create a category which is local support special presentation, where we make sure to showcase film from new filmmakers here in Toronto. I hope everybody's gonna have fun, and for me it's a passion, and film is a passion. I'm a film lover, and I wanted to create something for other people who love film and fashion, because that's why it's very high-end and people dress nice and there's a red carpet, because it's all about the beauty of the art, fashion, film, or whatever what it is.
The 2019 Open World Toronto Film Festival.
On this first day of snowfall this season as well. Yeah, yay. My name is Alina Christensen. I'm going to be your host for the evening. Before we begin, I just want to mention a few little housekeeping details. Just please ensure that all of your mobile devices are turned to silent so as not to interrupt the screenings and the talks that are going to be taking place. As well, I also do need to introduce some very important people before we begin. These are two of the kindest, most genuine people that I've known them for several years now. We've worked on a few different projects together. They put so much time and work into this festival over the years, and I know that Steve doesn't like the limelight, so I'm going to call up the president, Sabine Mondestin.
Thank you, Alina. If you don't know Alina, she's an amazing girl. She's an amazing actress. She's a host. And so I will tell you, you need to have a little time with her to talk to her because she's amazing. I started the festival because of my love of film and because of the fact that I love connecting with new actors and filmmakers. But also, when I started that, I didn't know that there will be so many amazing people helping me putting all this together. So I am lucky enough to have a team that is amazing, starting with Alina, Jana, Steve, Mark, Aline, which is outside, and so many other amazing people. I have Hamour, where's she? Hamour. So yes, so I've been very lucky. But also it's the fact that in 5 years, I connected with filmmakers from all over the world, from Japan to China to the States to everywhere. So I hope you will enjoy those 4 days, and I will let you watch the film because it's not about me, it's about the art. Thank you.
Going to start with the Best Actress winning film in that category, and it is Foxy, directed by Trista Suke. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. In the film, she documents her struggles with alopecia universalis. It's a really interesting film, so we're going to start off with that right now. Enjoy.
All right. Give it up for Foxy and so much local talent and filmmakers in that film. Unfortunately, Trista is not here to accept her award for Best Actress.
I just want to reiterate, again, just with this film, you know, it really shines light on a lot of mental health issues that can develop from unachievable beauty standards. So I think it's a really important subject matter that she covered in this film. So let's all just give her another round of applause for that. Best Experimental Film category. This is American Mirror, Imitations of Immortality. So this film really documents how, you know, on our social media, we often show only the best parts of ourselves. It's like a highlight reel. And we sort of hide in this image of ourselves often. We're so immersed in the process of creating our ideal virtual personalities that we forget about the real life experience and the struggles and everything that we go through. And we forget just the simple truth as well, that beauty is something that really comes from the inside. So the film really focuses on that and on social issues in regards to that. It's an award winner, and I think we're gonna get started and show that film. So please enjoy. This film is from the United States as well.
So, course isn't finished.
All right, another round of applause for American Mirror. Awesome, so we are going to screen one more film. It is a short, and then we're gonna cut to a 30-minute networking break after that. So once the next film is done, feel free to step out into the hallway. There are some light refreshments, take some photos on the red carpet, and then we'll be back in 30 minutes for the next films. So we're gonna end off before the break with Paris, You Got Me. It is the winner in our Best Short Film category, and it is a student film that comes to us from Germany. So this film features a magical world of art illusions. It's directed by Julie Boehm, and to give you a bit of background in the story, on her daily way home, the protagonist of the story, Senya, accidentally comes across a street painter named George. Unimpressed by his illusionistic work, she throws a stone onto the ground, kind of challenging the illusion that he's painted for her. He then tries to draw her in closer with a magic trick, and George makes her reach the edge of the painting, and Senya stumbles and falls right into the abyss that he has painted, which turns real in that very moment. So seconds later, the two find themselves in sort of like a parallel cosmos. Their actions become art. Their art becomes a creation of their own reality. From what I've heard, this film is a real treat, so please enjoy. Going to take a little pause from movie watching and get into our first industry talk of the festival. So it is my pleasure to introduce Peter Kingstone. He is the Acting Visual Media Arts Program Manager at the Toronto Arts Council, which provides support for emerging, mid-career, and established artists in Toronto. The Media Arts Program specifically provides support to media artists for the creation and production of new work or the completion of works in progress. Funds are intended to cover direct costs of creation, production, including the substance and materials as well. Peter is going to talk about how to prepare a successful grant application in the media arts section. So if you do have any questions about that, you can start thinking about those, and then we'll do a Q&A afterwards so you can directly ask your questions. So I'd love to call to the stage Peter Kingstone, and we also have our moderator, Trish Rainoni. And then Trish.
Oh, great. I'm involved in 2012. So I'm an artist. I both make single channel films and videos that you're watching on the screen here. I also make installation-based video. I do drawings, photography, and write. I've been doing that for a good 20 years. I also spent a decade teaching at York University, OCAD, and U of T.
What types of projects does the, well, you touched on that a bit in the intro, but what types of projects does the Arts Council fund, and can you touch particularly on some filmmaking grants given the audience today?
Sure. I mean, I'm hoping that most of you are obviously lovers of film. You come out to the festival, but some of you are filmmakers or have other or are planning other festivals, I'm guessing. In my department, which is a media and visual and leadership, we'll just talk about the media. We fund everything from single channel film or video, like ones we'd see on the screen here. That can be narrative or documentary. We can also fund video games. We can fund websites, online applications. We can fund robots.
Oh wow, cool. Have you funded robots?
We have funded robots.
Amazing.
And we've funded also like audio pieces, audio interactive pieces. So it's a very wide range of projects that we can possibly fund that get decided by artists in Toronto. So if you do apply, I don't make any of the decisions, it's other artists that make those decisions.
Oh, amazing. Is there a tornado happening outside, or are we near the subway?
I think that's the subway.
Okay, excellent. Just checking. It's not just me.
I didn't see a weather report for tornadoes today.
Okay, good. How far along should artists be in their project when they apply for a grant, and what sort of materials would they need? Like budgets? If it's for a film, would they need the full script, a pitch deck?
Yeah, so we fund directors, not producers. So the director can be anywhere from like they're finished their script and ready to start shooting, is sort of the majority of where people apply for. So simple production. We'll also fund in post-production. So you've shot the project and you have some editing or color correction or sound or music to add to it. We can fund it then as well. So most projects, probably about 70 to 80% of the projects come forward with a script or a working script if they're making a narrative-based project, and then a budget, mostly aspirational budget, because they are applying to many different funding agencies to get this done. And then we ask them to talk theoretically about it, like why would you be making this thing? What's the point of making it? And then also, like technically, how are you going to make it? Those are the two main questions.
Okay. And how long would you suggest that a director or director takes to prepare their grant application before the deadline?
Yeah, so like the deadline is mid-October every year, so just like it was 2 weeks ago. Because the Toronto Arts Council, I'm allowed to have close conversations with all the directors who are applying. So the earlier you can do it, the better. So we can have like a long back and forth conversation about the application. The application is usually open in June. So if you're someone who's like really excited, they can write it in June and we can talk all summer. Or if you end up like doing it a day before, you won't get a lot of my attention on what you're up to. but you can do it all the way up to the night before. I don't suggest that. If you want to talk to me about your project and want to think through your project or have my advice on how to write this for the panel that we're looking at it, I would suggest getting it to me 2 weeks before the meeting.
Excellent. That's really good to know that directors can reach out to you directly.
Yeah, I mean, I try to tell people it's not written anywhere on the website that you can. It says you should contact me. That's all it says. But I love going for coffee. I love going, for tea. I don't like spending any time in my office. So you don't have to buy me coffee. I do not want you to buy me coffee. I will buy you a coffee. And just suggest where I go, and I'm happy to show up and read over what you're planning on filming.
So is October the only deadline that you have, or is there?
October is the only deadline that Toronto Arts Council has. Ontario Arts Council has 2 deadlines. But yeah, for Toronto Arts Council, it's just October.
It's also easy and organized now with social media and websites. What are the most commonly occurring errors that you see in the grant applications?
Oh yeah, I mean you don't have that much space in the grant application to talk about your work. You have, one question's 1,000 words, the other question's 500 words. It seems like a lot of space, but it really isn't enough space. And you really have to make sure you're talking about the work that you want to be making. Also, introducing yourself to the panel on who you are, what you're interested in, what you've done before, and making sure you don't go off in odd directions or start talking about a theoretical element within the project that doesn't aid in you making the project. Dropping names. We don't want to hear you direct films just like Quentin Tarantino, or we don't want to hear that. We want to hear from you, not the people that you think you represent. And we want to we really want to know why you're making this film and why is it important to you to make this film. And the other thing, I often see people making large brags about what they're up to, saying I'm the best shorts filmmaker in Canada, or no one's ever done this in the world. As soon as you say that, the panel spends most of their time finding people that have done very similar things. Stop reading your application. So don't even say that. Just speak with energy and excitement, using active words, saying and paint a picture for the panel that says this is obviously the next film that has to be made, and it has to be made by me.
So keep it more about the story than about your ego.
Yeah. Keep it about the project that you're planning on making. I mean, the whole application, you have to keep in mind you're asking for money to make this particular project, and everything should link into that.
Excellent. If a particular project doesn't receive funding, can they get feedback on their application afterwards?
So we don't give any feedback from the panel because the panel changes every year. So if I gave you feedback from them, it might not help you in the next year. But you can always reach out to me. Again, I hope that you reach out to me before you apply. It seems to be a better use of our time than after. But if you don't receive a grant, or even if you do receive a grant, I'm happy to sit down and chat to you about your project.
Excellent. That's really good to know, because I feel like that really helps artists. Let's see, what do I have here? Ooh, a personal question, just to break things up a little. When you go to the movies, do you prefer popcorn or candy?
Oh, I like chocolate. I'm a big chocolate fan.
Oh, a chocolate fan. Does anyone have chocolate?
Yeah. And last time I was at the movie, I did have some popcorn. I went to go see, it's the last thing I saw. Oh, Zombieland 2.
Oh. Has anyone else here seen that?
All right, let's see if I've missed any questions. Oh, what makes I guess you touched on this when you talked about the submissions, but what makes a submission stand out or especially enjoyable to review?
Yeah, so I mean, like the panel, once the applications come in, the panel gets them all, they all come in online, so it's an online application. So the panel gets them, and they're reading them alone at home, and watching all your support material alone at home. But then they come into the room where they get to discuss it. They usually come in saying that they want to fund about 60 to 70% of the projects that came in. And then I tell them that they can only find 20% of the projects that come in because that's the budget we have.
Mm-hmm.
So what ends up happening is they really look at each project and start thinking about, can this project get funding somewhere else? Is this like a new story? Is this some like a voice we haven't heard from in Toronto? So those are the types of projects that they're really excited about. So I mean, through my 7 years, I don't think I've ever seen like a boy meets girl love story be funded before. Or especially like a Caucasian boy meets girl love story has never been funded before. But they do apply and they come in, or a stereotypical like zombie movie get funded before. But we've had lots of love stories be funded with like an extra twist from the filmmaker,
Mm-hmm.
or horror stories that have an extra twist from the filmmaker. So these personal projects are projects that obviously come from who you are and respond to who you are. I think often get a better shot at being funded.
So if you stick to who you are and your integrity and kind of do something a little bit unique and not so cookie
Well, I
cutter.
imagine if you're sticking to who you are, you're probably doing something kind of unique.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that a middle-aged white man who lives in Toronto can't make something interesting. I'm describing myself. I still have interesting stories to tell, but being able to explain why I'm telling this story.
Genres that the council would fund less than others?
No, I mean, we fund, as I said, about 20%, which is about 80 projects in the application deadline. And they go cross-genres, like, you can come with anything. As I said, like, if you're coming to us, like, you're remaking Romeo and Juliet, that probably won't happen unless there's, like, some sort of question on why you're remaking it now and why you are remaking it.
Hi, thanks for being here. Two questions. So one of them, just kind of a follow-up, I guess. Is there a certain breakdown of how many films that you find are fiction or documentary or experimental? Is there a specific breakdown you try to reach? And second question, there is a kind of a mandate that the projects that are submitted are non-profit. So that's something that if you could talk about a little bit, what specifically kind of defines non-profit in this context. Is there certain impacts that it would have on the project's distribution in the festival round?
Sure. I mean, I feel like I'm leaving you right.
This is fantastic. You're really helping me. Thank you.
So there's no, we don't have a mandate or a decision on like a percentage of things that need to be fiction or non-fiction or experimental. It's always up to the jury they're asked to find excellence, and they weed through everyone and choose the ones they think are excellent for that particular year. Non-profit, or it has to be so the budgets have to be balanced. So you have to have all your income and all your expenses being equal. So you as a filmmaker, and we'll fund projects up to $250,000. So you have to demonstrate where you're getting all the other money from. The project you have to own the entire project. So you can't be like making a commercial or making a project for a company or something. But once you've made it, you can do whatever you want with it. So you can, send it out to film festivals, you can get distribution, whatever distribution is the, what you're thinking, it could be artist-run distribution or for-profit distribution, that's all completely fine, as long as when you're making it, you completely own the project. And so within that budget, you will also want to make sure you're paying yourself. So you have to have both the expenses and the income and expenses being equal, but all the panels like to see that there is an artist fee there, that you're paying yourself somewhere in the neighborhood of like, $2,000 to $2,500 per month of work. Does that answer everything?
I have a question about the fully owning it, because I've produced things in the past where we've gotten sponsors to come on board. So we've had businesses, we'll do product placement, and they'd give us money in exchange for advertising their product. But ultimately, the project would be owned by the creators. So how does that work? Would those projects be eligible?
Yeah, those are fine. I mean, it's really editorial control.
Okay.
So if the director has editorial control of the project, then that's completely fine. If like Coca-Cola starts saying, no, you have to fall in love with that Coca-Cola polar bear, then that's not fine.
I'm trying to imagine that storyline right now. I don't know if that's something I'd watch. I don't know. I guess polar bears are cute. Yeah, it could be cute.
Yeah.
Does anyone else have a question in the audience? Yes.
Toronto is supposedly still the Hollywood norm. What about diversity and inclusivity? You seem to be very complacent in a lot of ways about, like, I want to see what will stand out in that script that's going to make a winning script.
I mean, that's hard to put forward. If I sort of said this stands out, then I'll have like 200 scripts that do the same thing, right? So it's doing something different or interesting, or being able to tell a story that's different or interesting is what I think is ones that stand out. Now there is, we fund, we have a system of, for now I've completely forgotten, it's getting late in the day, where we ask every applicant if they happen to be deaf or disabled, a person of color, indigenous, or to us LGBTQIAP. And we've said that we promise that 20% of the grants will go to people that define in one of those areas. That doesn't mean that only 20% of the grants will go to those people, but we often fund, I mean, my programs are now 60 or 70% of the applicants actually belong to one of those 4 groups, but we make sure that at least 20% do.
Yes.
I have a very detailed question.
A very detailed question.
In
Okay.
your application, there's a part of budgeting that the fees for creative collaborators and the fees for technical crews. Who are technical crews and who are creative collaborators?
So creative collaborators would be your, depending on what kind of project you're making. I mean, if you're making a narrative film, it'd be like your actors. And if you're making a narrative film, the technical would be your actors.
Let's say DOP or editors, are they technical crew or?
Yeah, you can put them in technical. I mean, like there's all, like the budget has like a bunch of titles that you can follow, or you can just add lines and go, oh, I don't know where this person fits, but I think they fit in artistic or they fit in technical, and just add them there and ignore what we put forward.
So I understand that the grant supports artist fees. Does that mean that technical crew can be on deferrals?
They can be on deferrals. Most panels like to see, the only deferrals that seem to be okay for panelists are the director's fee as being on deferral. They like to see that all the crew is being paid. So the grants can pay for the crew, the grants can pay for you renting equipment, can pay for all the spaces you're shooting in, all that sorts of stuff. Pretty much everything. Yeah, they don't like to see that your editor or your camera people or your actors are on deferrals. Yeah. That guy.
Are there any recent film projects that you guys have funded that you're particularly proud of? And why are you proud of funding them? What was it about the projects that made you happy to give the money?
I mean, again, we fund about 80 projects a year. So let me just think of a couple that, there's, some that end up at TIFF that were kind of amazing. Oh, my favorite story is this project called, oh my God, I forgot the name of it. But it's this great project shot in like Regent Park, or around Regent Park. It's a documentary of drug users, and the camera person often gives the camera over to the people that they're documenting, and it's this really interesting. It's called The Stairs. If you have a chance to see The Stairs, go see The Stairs. It came out 2 years ago and did extremely well. Played at Hot Dogs, and then it played at TIFF, and it's gone around the world. And he's actually going to be, I'm talking about him being on a panel coming up soon. But it's that's the one I'm in particularly proud of. But again, we fund so many projects, and some of them are amazing, and some of them the artists learned lots from, and they didn't turn out as great. But we're happy to fund them.
Do the projects always get completed, and do you follow up to make sure that they are completed and released?
We ask you to fill in a final report when you're done, and once you fill in the final report, you can apply again, but you can't apply until you fill in the final report. If you're all of a sudden like, oh, I can't complete this project for whatever reason, like maybe you didn't get enough funding, like we were the only ones to fund you, that is fine. You can return the money and apply again. And no one knows that you've returned the money except for me. So that it's not like I will tell the next group of people that you couldn't complete the last project you put forward. And yeah, so but often if you have 2 years to complete the project, if it starts taking more time, you contact me and we talk about it.
Excellent. Are there any other audience questions?
Has anything ever happened where you essentially revoked someone's funding, and what was the reason for doing so?
Revoked someone's funding. I mean, we ask, you have to sign off at the end saying that, I can't even think of a time that we revoked it unless they said that they couldn't complete it and gave it back to us. But you have to sign off in the end saying that you follow all the rules and regulations of the City of Toronto. That means that your project can't be sexist or homophobic or racist. So if it ended up being in any of those spaces, we'd ask for our money back and take our name off of it. But the juries or the panels are pretty good at figuring those out when they come in, and they don't find those. So maybe that's it. Don't make a sexist, homophobic, or racist project.
Well, in that section, support materials, there's a question that how that support material, previous work, is related to your current project. What if I'm trying to do something totally new, maybe in terms of style, or the medium, or concept, has nothing to do with what I've done before?
Yeah, I mean, you can talk about that. Like, talk about saying, I made this film, and why? Why are you abandoning this particular theoretic you were talking about? And you can say, I shot it this way, I don't like the way it looks, I'm going to make this new way. You can turn it around and then speak about why you change it. Is how I would do it.
But that would kind of support the application?
Yeah, you can, yeah. I mean, the question is to put forward material that demonstrates that you'll be able to make the next project. So if all you've ever done is painted, then, we couldn't fund you making a feature-length film or video. It'd be also difficult if all you've ever done is animation and you want to make, a dirty, first-person narrative or something. So you have to figure out, where you're going. Possibly you should be making a test film before in the style you're interested in. Or talk about what got you interested in the thing you're interested in. But usually people, like artists, you can link their theoretics together. I mean, I spend a lot of time thinking about all my work often, or not often. I mean, I spent the summer thinking about my work, and I've come up with a new angle to talk about all my work that I'm quite excited about. So even though my work looks quite different through my different stages of my career. So, yeah.
Is there a certain percentage of films that you guys fund that are French language, or does that not matter?
That doesn't matter for the City of Toronto.
Okay. Yeah.
The City of Toronto isn't bilingual, so we accept French language applications, but they just end up in the same file of everybody else's application.
You mentioned you have 2 years to complete the project after funding. I'm guessing if you're combining Toronto Art Council funding with other grants, you can kind of pursue some other sources at the beginning of that 2-year period.
Yeah.
And is there a certain path that you recommend if you're, like, do you have to usually start with Toronto Art Council and pursue other funds, or is there?
Well, so on the budget, you have spaces to put all the other funding you're seeking. So the Toronto Arts Council deadline is like 2 weeks after the second OAC deadline. There's an OAC deadline this year, I think it was October 4th. And there's a Canada Council deadline in the fall as well. So most people kind of group those 3 applications together and apply them all together. And then, in January, figure out which grants they got and either decide that they can pursue the project on the funding that they have, or they can, if they don't get Toronto Arts Council, they'd have to wait a year. But if they didn't get Canada Council or Ontario Arts Council, there are spring deadlines for them, so they can apply again.
All right, we are going to wrap up this panel. Thank you so much for being here. This was very informative and very helpful. And where can people contact you if they have further questions?
I've got business cards. Who has business cards? They're in the back of my pocket. I can leave them here, or I can hand them out before the next. Is there a screening after this?
I believe there is a screening.
Yes,
there is a screening.
So if we have a couple seconds, I can hand out business cards, or you can find. I mean, this lovely picture, which is now 7 years old, is on the Toronto Arts Council website. You can just go through there, and you'll get my email or phone number.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here today, and thank you to the audience for being here and for your fantastic questions.
Here we are at the Open World Film Festival in Toronto, joining the cast and crew for Give and Take, a fantastic, fantastic movie. Please tell us more. You are delightful, first of all. Brian Kennington, this is Brian, he is the writer.
I'm the writer and producer. Yes, I wrote the film, yeah.
Let's all introduce ourselves.
Yeah, and this is Jim, alias Tobor. And he
Great.
was jack of all trades and basically behind the scenes took care of everything for us.
Fantastic. And this is the wonderful Ray Kennington,
My
superstar.
wife.
That's your wife.
That's my wife, yes.
Wow, lucky man.
And this is
Shirley Davidson,
Right,
superstar.
Davidson.
It's his first film, the first film that Julie ever did. And he's won Best Actor awards all over the world.
Big debut.
All over the world.
Yes, all over the world.
And this is the Liz Taylor.
So that's Taylor in the house.
So
that was the first film, is that what you mentioned?
Yes, I've never acted in a short film before. I've done a couple of student projects, but beyond that, this was my first thing. Very excited to do it. I've known Brian for a long time, and I'd just done a small part in a web series he was making, and he'd written this other script and said, would you come back and do this part? I think it'd be right for you. And I said, absolutely. I read the script, and I thought it was funny, and I came and I did it, and I had a blast, and I learned so much. Everybody in front of the camera, behind the camera, were all experienced, and they taught me so much and took great care of me. So it was a lot of fun working on it. It was great. Yeah,
And
yeah.
killed it. And is it something that you would like to pursue?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's a career-long goal for you.
Yeah.
It came from different things. One idea was about the fact of a caregiver looking after somebody who's an elderly person who basically, he's very hesitant to do it, but his mom forces him. Liz plays his mom.
Which is the mom right here.
Forces him to do it, and he finds that he gets more than he bargained for.
Yeah.
And I don't want to give too much away, but basically things don't end up quite the way he's hoping. And Ray's playing the person he looks after. And when I wrote the script, when I wrote it first, I did think the part for my wife Ray, and that's why she comes from a Scottish background, so I made it a Scottish character. And then basically sort of took off from there. I met Liz before, and I thought Liz would be really good as a mother. And of course, I've worked with Chili, so it's nice bringing the three. I knew all three and brought them all together.
And have you ever worked together prior to this project?
With my wife?
With your wife?
Yes, I did. Matter of fact, I did another short film called the Film Festival, and it's won over 50 awards around the world. And my wife had a part in that, and this time she played somebody who's Austrian. So my wife is a master of accents. Yes, loves doing accents. So she's got a good ear. But yeah, and that's and it just and worked with Chili, said in a web series, and of course quite a few plays.
Yeah. I did community theater when I was a kid with Brian. Brian directed the community theater, so I've known him since I was in like 3rd grade.
Amazing. So it sounds like you're gonna have a lot of projects together.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Moving on forward.
Yeah.
Do you have any ideas right now that you are working on?
Yeah, matter of fact, I've got a film right now that I've written. It's been optioned. It's right now in pre-production in Vancouver.
Amazing.
It's called The Retirement Plan, which we did as a play, and it did so well we've written a screenplay. I don't know if any of us will be in it, but it's up to the director. I'm not directing it, but it'll be hopefully shot next year by a really well-known director, but I can't give the name away yet. But it'll be advertised later. And we're also working next year. Jim and I are going to be working together on a horror film we're going to shoot next year, and it's called Millennial Hell.
Oh, that's very current.
I had a great time, and I can't wait to do it again.
Yeah.
So you're a good team. So you all.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, everyone worked together really well, and as I say, we all brought different levels of experience to the table, which was really nice. And the script was all there, and so it was a lot of fun stuff that we got to discover on set. Stuff we kind of came up with on the fly, and it was a great process, a great time of working. Hopefully we get to do it again, and I'm looking forward to it because I'd love to do more short films and stuff like that.
And from what I hear, you're quite involved in the project.
Oh yeah, yes.
Yeah,
Basically,
so-
I wrote it, and I was there every day on the set. But we did have another person who's directing it named Armand, and unfortunately Armand can't be here tonight. Hi Armand.
Hi Armand. Thank you.
But Armand did a
for all
really
you
good job,
do.
and he was really helpful in the sense that he was great, as well as the cast, with going over dialogue and saying that line doesn't work. We tried this. Very open to that, and they were had some great suggestions. Like Chili had some really good ideas, and we all had good ideas in the script, and that was really good. But the director was really good at putting it all together. And of course, Jim was so helpful in so many things. No, he was there. He took care of the lights and anything else that needed done. So
Stopping traffic.
stopping traffic, and Liz stopped traffic too. And by the way, Liz was very generous in letting us use her home to shoot.
Oh wow, that's amazing.
Everything in that was her place.
So everybody can walk on the floor.
I get my
You're like,
nurturing
"Please do
aspect.
not
Who wants coffee? Who wants a cappuccino?"
Yeah.
And she fed us too, my God. They come in the morning, she'd got waffles. They got waffles, they got yogurt, they got fruit, they got sausages.
That's amazing.
There's something fun about being part of a film that you would want to watch over and over again.
Yeah.
Like I don't get sick of watching this film. It's great. It's actually brilliantly written and beautifully acted.
It was,
And I love watching it
I
again.
feel your energy is just astounding and amazing that you are putting yourself in the situation where you're working together with pleasure and you're working
it's so
together
much
with
fun.
such
Yeah.
an
That's the whole point
amazing
of making
team,
films. Have fun.
and it's to see you with such delight. It's just something we strive for. But thank you so much for being here.
Thank you very much.
And it was such an amazing movie. I hope to be part of more of your films and part of your screening your fantastic projects. You're wonderful.
Thank you very
And
much.
thank you to the Open World Toronto
Yes,
Film
thank you. Yes,
Festival.
thank you. Terrific. Thank you.